Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
UFC Fight Night. Felder versus Dos Anjos just happened this past Saturday from the APEX in Las Vegas. It was a fun night of fights. The prelim card was okay, a bunch of decisions, but still some decent fights. Alex Morono welcomed in a newcomer, McKee. It was a great fight. I always love seeing Morono in a fight. But all the early fights went to a decision. Main card was good too. You got Kay Hansen and Corey McKenna, both two of the youngest UFC fighters on the roster. I think they're both 21. Kay Hansen, I think maybe this was her third UFC fight. McKenna, I believe, came from the Contender Series, and this was her debut. Great fight for McKenna. She came out first round, was able to land a bunch of damage on Hansen. Hansen was able to change things up in the second and the third round, doing a lot more kicks, doing a lot more grappling and takedowns, trying to get the submission, or at least control the fight in a way, stop taking as much damage. But even in those, even though Hansen was able to get McKenna in some bad positions, like she had her back taken, she's mounted, I think. She's in some bad positions, but still was able to land some hard punches and a lot of punches. So even though she was in bad spots, she was able to land damage, and I think that's despite the fact Hansen was able to get control, get her to the ground, and get in dominant position. She wasn't really able to do much with those positions, and was actually received damage. So good win for McKenna. Great fight overall. I mean, it was a great fight. Two kind of new, fresh fighters in the women's strawweight division. So it'll be interesting to see both of them grow over the years. I mean, Hansen's ability to definitely change up and try and give new looks in the octagon, despite it not paying dividends, still was good to see. Because there's a lot of green fighters out there that, it takes a while sometimes for fighters to be able to change up their game plan between rounds. And she did it, and it was almost successful, but not successful enough. Then the next fight, Strickland versus Brendan Allen. Great fight. Strickland just fought, I believe, 2 weeks ago. Had I don't know, I don't remember it from the last fight necessarily, not necessarily as much as this one. I mean, the last fight, he was just beating up on the guy the entire fight, and the dude just had an amazing chin. But his boxing in this one had it really felt like kind of a Diaz style where they're just kind of throwing their punches out, but the sound the punches made when they landed sound heavy. So even though they're casually being kind of thrown out there, not giving it 100%, giving it 60% punches, they were landing heavy and they were doing damage, and he was actually able to get the TKO in this one. Just brutal combinations, was able to get the TKO in the second round. So good fight for Strickland. Interesting to see what he does next. This was a catchweight fight, and he was talking about wanting to make sure he gets a full training camp for the next fight instead of these short turnarounds. I guess maintaining cardio is difficult. But he still had a great fight. Interested to see what he does in his next fight. Ashley Yoder got a win, pretty good win. That was a fun fight as well against some tough, kind of a tough competition. Chaos Williams got a powerful, just 30-second first round KO. It's one of those things where I missed it. I blinked. They both engaged in the center of the cage, and Al Hassan just kind of stiffened up and fell to the ground. And I just I didn't see what happened. And I was just excited to watch the replay in ultra slow-mo to see that right hand connect and really just it didn't even seem like that powerful a shot. It didn't even feel it didn't catch him on like the end of the shot, but the placement of it was clearly perfect and stiffened Al-Hassan up, and just a fast knockout for Williams. Interested to see what he does next. In the main event, Rafael dos Anjos back at lightweight. Paul Felder back in the cage. Supposed to be commentating the fights. Instead, got the short notice call to fill in for the, I don't know what you would call, I can't even think of his name now. The guy, the hype beast that had to pull out due to medical reasons. But Rafael dos Anjos looked great, had a great game plan, was able to use his grappling and keep Felder pushed up against the fence, constantly working for takedowns. Did some good striking as well with Felder. Felder definitely is the man. He came out trying to win it in every round, had great moments in rounds, great combinations. Just looked like he was in it, but just wasn't able to maintain his distance and avoid the grappling on the fence. So great game plan for Dos Anjos. He called out McGregor. McGregor obliged afterwards via tech or via Twitter. Of course, he's got Poirier next, but after that, it seems like McGregor is just fine with fighting rematches. And this was a fight that McGregor was supposed to fight for the lightweight belt, but Dos Anjos broke his foot leading up to that match, had to pull out. So eventually, McGregor fought Eddie Alvarez, the Trump supporter, who works for a Chinese organization, which is it's insane, these Trump people. Anyway, great fight. Great. I love Paul Felder. I can't wait to see him again. Interesting to see what happens next for Dos Anjos. But next week, there's a pay-per-view. There are two belts on the line. They're starting with the flyweight belt. Figueiredo versus Perez. Perez, kind of an up-and-comer, has only lost once in the last 4 years to Benavidez. Figueiredo, of course, coming fresh off of his win to hold the belt, be the new champion in the flyweight division. Not super excited. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm sure it's going to be a great fight, but I'm not necessarily rooting for one of these fighters over the other. However, the women's fight, Valentina Shevchenko, the flyweight champion, versus Jennifer Maia, I think Shevchenko is going to destroy. I have yet to see a female fighter to even come close to giving Shevchenko a run for her money at that weight class. Bantamweight, obviously, she's had issues, but she even in bantamweight she did well. But this is definitely her weight class, and unless she has an injury, I don't see her losing anytime soon, but that you never know. It's always going to be interesting to see what these new contenders bring to the table, because eventually somebody's going to figure out a game plan that's going to have some success, unless Shevchenko just has a Khabib Nurmagomedov type run at flyweight. But excited to see that fight nonetheless. Mike Perry is back against Tim Means. Mike Perry is a fighter that I've loved watching, but as of late, whatever the time frame was when he ditched his wife and got this new girlfriend who's now pregnant with his kid, and stopped, he's kind of stopped working with any camps, really, stopped really getting any corner people. He really kind of changed a lot of things in the way he fights, the way he's attacking this profession of mixed martial arts. Hasn't been as fun to watch. I still root for the guy. Seems like a complete asshole outside of the cage, but there's a lot of people in the world that are complete assholes. Tim Means, on the other hand, I would be happy with a Tim Means win. I'm a big fan of Tim Means, so I'm good with a win on that one. But either way, should be a crazy fight. Caitlin Chukagian is in the ring against Calvillo. That should be a fun one, hopefully. Chukagian, a lot of her wins tend to be decisions. She likes to outpoint, keep her distance. Calvillo's been very inconsistent in her UFC career, super hyped coming in, but took a few L's. Paul Craig versus Shogun Rua. They're rematching after their draw. That was a crazy fight. Looking forward to this one. Paul Craig's gotten a lot better over the past few years, gotten some improvement. Well, Shogun, while being super, super long in the tooth, still putting it together. Brandon Moreno is also fighting on the card. Antonina Shevchenko is in the prelim card with Brandon Moreno. You got Alan Jouban is back in the early prelims. So overall, I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view fight next Saturday from the Apex in Las Vegas on November 21st. Looking forward to it. Make sure you support our sponsor, Ting, and get yourself $25 in credit by going through my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting. Ting is a cell phone service that has great service all over the place. They use all the major networks to perform their service, but you only pay for what you use. So if you're at home, you're on Wi-Fi all the time, you're going to have extremely low monthly bills. So get yourself $25 in credit to either buy yourself a new phone or bring your old phone over and save money starting now. Use my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!